Hey, Bruce. Chris Chapman, Fox Sports Las Vegas postgame show. It seemed like for long stretches of that third period, Columbus played like they were just content with getting the game to overtime. And I know it's not easy to just break that down, but what do you guys need to do a little bit better to maybe not allow them to take the game to overtime?
Well, I mean, we don't want to go reckless either, right? So we got to be careful. I mean, look at the game. Both their goals came us mishandling pucks. So you got to be careful. If you're going to try to attack a team that's kind of in a shell and got five guys back, then you better execute very well because they're coming back the other way. So that's the problem. It's not as you said, easy as it looks. We had some moments in the O-zone. You know, once we got into their zone and got a puck back, whether that's through a forecheck or an entry, usually a forecheck, they didn't allow us to enter very well. The way they played their 1-1-3, they were pretty dedicated to having guys back. Then we started, getting some looks. I would say a lot of that happened in the first period, much more than the third, right? And I mean, it's crunch time. They're in a playoff position for a reason right now. They've learned to handle those situations. So a couple of looks, that's it. Theo had one late, but it's, again, an individual kind of one-on-one once you get moving around. And we weren't able to generate enough of that, get pucks back. So get in the zone cleaner, but they have bodies, so you don't want to turn it over. Because we tried that, and we did turn it over a few times, and now you're defending the other way. I think one time Marchenko hit the crossbar in the third because of that. So there's a trade-off there. I would say where we failed is getting the puck back through the forecheck, and it was a lot of puck placement, right? Their goalie gets out and stops it against that 1-1-3. You got options already. They're outnumbered, need a puck click quickly. So we could have done we need to do a better job of that, where we put it. Because in the first period, we put it in better spots. We got it back. They're a young defense. They like to make plays. We put them under duress. We got pucks back. We didn't do enough of that as the game went on.
I know maybe last few nights, not the results you wanted, but you've gotten points now, I think, in 5 of your last 6 games. So is there a bit of a glass half full kind of approach to that?
We'll look back and realize we did get points. It was a 500 month. That's not what we're aiming for, but I've said this many times. If that turns out to be your worst month, you're going to be in good shape. We have 3 more to go, so ask me again in April. But disappointing, in overtime the other night. We had a good look early. We didn't recover. Right, we kind of duplicated, and they get an easy goal. Tonight we again looked like we were going to have a chance off the rush. We have a kind of a abbreviated 2-on-1. We don't get a play to the net. And then we get some O-zone time, and again, they strip us, and the goalie makes 2 big saves. You know what I mean? Like, you hope you get the second rebound out of the way, at least live to fight another day, but didn't work out that way. So that's how it ends, right? But we'll look at it and we'll say we defended certain things, parts of the game very well. They're a high-scoring team. I think they might be 3rd in the league, right? There's Washington, them. I know we're up there, Tampa, Colorado. So that's the good news. I'm sure if you ask their locker room, it wasn't easy for them to find space out there too. So there's that part of it. Interior ice was good for us in the first period. We did not get inside enough in the second and third. We got inside late in the second. They took the goal off the board, right? We lost one the other night in a 1-goal game. So there's a little bit of that going on. Both times it's Barbie, a guy that, could use a goal probably more than anybody right now. So fortunate for him. But that's hockey, and we need a little more offense right now from certain individuals. And hopefully it'll come. It came earlier in the year, so I believe it's there. It's just didn't come enough this month.
Paul.
Hey, Bruce, Paul De Los Santos, NHL.com. Just overall, it seems like Noah and Tomas, and you touched on it earlier, why do you think the team isn't going to the net front enough in critical spots?
I think it's because it's games in the middle of the season. It becomes harder to get there, and it's more work, and your body's probably as sore as it's been in a while. So there's a little bit of the physical preventing you, and then there's the mental you got to play through. And we got there at times, but not enough. And they might say the same thing. I mean, Dallas would have said the same thing in the third period the other night. They got one off the rush. So it's not unique to the Vegas Golden Knights. It's that time of year. So you're looking for maybe easier transition. So we got to keep pushing the guys to make sure they they understand that. And for the most part, they do. These are smart players in the room. They've been around. It's the will to do it has to come back again, and hopefully it comes back sooner than later. Because I did think in the first period when we got in there was some rebounds to be had. We didn't. Just thinking off the top of my head, Stoney had one. I mean, Olafson's in all alone with one. Barbie had a good look that was off net, so they were there and we were inside. We just weren't able to sustain that. And I know that was your question. I'm trying to answer it. I think it's a battle of wills right now to do it. So we got to keep pushing through that. And, that'll be our challenge as a staff on Sunday to make sure we're doing that. Because that's what you need to do to the range. They got a good goaltender. If he sees it, he's probably stopping us. You got to get inside, get in his way, disrupt him a little bit, get some rebounds. So that'll be the challenge.
Ken and Jesse.
Ken Mulkey, Cinnamon, not Vegas. I know that specific neutral zone, there's been some issues dealing with it this year. Is there anything you think's coming up every time?
Well, the teams play it for a reason because you got 3 people across the blue line instead of 2. So it's a little harder to get in. When you're doing that, you're taking people away from neutral zone forecheck and forecheck, so you're not generating. I mean, they got 1 goal too, right? So there's some risk in that, and that's what happens with a lot of those teams. So Florida played it the other night. They got 1. So if you don't turn the puck over, that's typically, and are willing to find your forecheck routes and get it back. That's how you got to try to get offense. Or when you play a little bit of O-zone and then they throw it out and change, they don't get a chance to set it up. So now you get going, you play a little quicker. So that's what we have to do. We got to play a little quicker when it comes to that. If you don't and they have their numbers, then it's something I believe, Ken, you have to practice quite consistently because the timing has to be really good. You're going to have 4 or 5 guys coming back with speed, running their routes. And it needs to be precision. So I believe you get to a playoff series, you have an easier time because it's repetition. The guy, when you play on Thursday against one team and Saturday and Tuesday and you're off and you're flying, the guys it's not as automatic and hockey's fast and they have good sticks, Columbus. They had good sticks today. I don't see them enough to say that's an everyday thing, but they had good sticks tonight. So you better be clean with it and execute at a high level. And in January, you've seen a lot of teams aren't always executing at a high level because of the fatigue factor. So, and we didn't at enough of a level tonight, or would score more, or would get more chances. So, no matter what they played, right? This isn't just a system thing. Right now, we're not executing at a high enough level consistently, and you see it with the chances. When you watch the game, you could probably say, "Oh, this line didn't seem to generate much." Well, it's usually an execution thing. I mean, our guys. I think we're an effort team. Not too many days I go in there and say, "Oh, we played like dogs tonight." I mean, the guys they're trying, and that's why we're in a lot of these games, and because you need effort to defend. But right now, offensively, we're not executing at a high enough level, and to take over some of these games offensively. And I thought against Florida was better the other night as it went along. Tonight, it wasn't better as it went along. It was better early, and we weren't able to capitalize. Maybe if we get a couple to go. It opens up the game for us a little bit and it goes our way, but that didn't happen.
Last one, Jesse.
Jesse Granger at The Athletic. Sorry to go back to the net front, but aside from the bodies getting to the front of the net, do you think the offense around that is executing well enough to give them those scenarios to make those plays, or do you need something else to allow those players to get into those positions?
Well, I think we don't have enough of a shot mentality, so that's part of it. So if you're not putting the puck in the net, okay, so Columbus is decor. However you want to look at them, they're a little bit younger, more mobile. They're not all 6'5", right? So the easiest way to break them down is probably force them to defend big bodies getting inside. But the pucks have to arrive, right? So there's a little bit of that overpass mentality that our team, we might be third in the league. What'd I say? I think we're second or third. Let's say top 5. Well, for a reason. We got guys that can make some plays and look to make plays. Nights like tonight, maybe not there as a coach, you're like, I wish we had a shot more. We'll go out and get 5 maybe and make some plays, and I'll say, well, let the guys play. So that's my challenge to make sure. And we tried to remind them a little more after the second intermission about that. Like, keep putting pucks there. Make sure there's a body there, and they'll get tired. They'll get tired of defending 6'3" guys, and then you'll get an extra second in there. So I don't think that happened enough. So I don't know exactly where you're going with the question. That, to me, it's we didn't have enough of a shot mentality tonight. The pieces are in that room to score goals. If that, is that what, yeah, I believe it is that. Now, William Karlsson drives the line, right? So we miss him. So I'm not gonna sit here and say we don't miss the guy, but, you know, and he opens up ice with pace. So he probably gets through the neutral zone tonight a little easier than some of the other guys. And maybe that he's able to drive pucks deep and open up some ice. And so that was a little bit of, we certainly miss him, but not to the point where we can't score goals. We some of the other lines need to start thinking, okay, it's not going in. Let's bully our way in there with the pucks arriving. And, you know, we'll talk about that as we head east, because, you know, we got some teams that are tight check. Jersey plays a tight game. The Islanders are playing well. They're playing a tight game. When the Rangers are on, they, you know, they keep it out of their net. So, you know, that's what's in front of us.
Thank you, Bruce.